Turning now to some Texas politics. Texas Congressman Gonzales is no longer running for re-election. Ahead of that announcement overnight, top Republican leaders in the House, including the Speaker, called for him to end his campaign after he admitted to having an affair with a staffer who later died by suicide. Let's talk more about the impact of this development with Gabby Birnbaum from the Texas Tribune. Gabby, welcome back to our show. We appreciate you being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So this decision came after some revelations that admired the congressman in scandals. So remind us about what surfaced about him.
Yeah, so Congressman Gonzales, his former staffer, died by suicide last September. And then right at the beginning of early voting, the San Antonio Express News reported with sort of textual evidence between the deceased former staffer and another former staffer that she'd been having an affair with Congressman Gonzales. Later, more text messages were released, explicit messages between the congressman and his aide. And it sort of spiraled from there. As you mentioned, on Tuesday, Tony Gonzales and Brandon Herrera, who's his primary opponent, neither of them reached 50%, so they went to a runoff. On Wednesday, he admitted the affair. And then on Thursday, yesterday, House GOP leadership called for him to drop out of his race, which he did decide to do right at the end of the day yesterday.
Yeah, thank you for catching us up on all of that. So even though he is not running for re-election anymore, Congressman Gonzales is still facing an ethics investigation. What more can you tell us about that and about what it will look into exactly?
Yeah, these ethics investigations take a lot of time, so I would caution people against, thinking that they're going to find anything out immediately. But specifically, they're looking into two incidents here, two charges. One is that he had, an inappropriate sexual relationship with a subordinate, and the other is looking into whether or not he, dispersed any favors in any sense based on the nature of their relationship as her boss. And so that's what the committee is investigating. And he said he plans to cooperate with the investigation and appreciates it as an opportunity to get the facts out. But again, these investigations on the ethics committee take a lot of time. They're done behind closed doors. And for some members, their ethics reports, especially if they leave Congress, sometimes they never come out. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
And Congressman Gonzales says he is going to serve out the rest of his term, right?
That is his plan. Yep. The term goes through the beginning of January 2027. He has said that he's going to stay and continue working. House GOP leadership called for him to drop out of his race, but have not called for him to resign. And they've said some have said he should stay. Including some colleagues in Texas say he should stay and fill out his term. And I think to that point, you definitely have to look at the math in the U.S. House, right? Republicans have a 218 to 214 majority. Every individual vote is super valuable. Absences really matter. There's a lot of math going on every day in the Speaker's office to figure out who's there and do they have enough votes to win on some of these party line votes. And so I have to think that was a factor in some of the decisions that leadership has made regarding Congressman Gonzales.
Well, Gabby, in these final few moments that we have you, talk about who is now running to replace Gonzales in the 23rd Congressional District. Who advanced after the primary?
Yeah, so initially Gonzales was going to be in a runoff with Brandon Herrera. He's a gun activist, a YouTuber who's a sort of edgy sense of humor that Democrats are sort of already pulling up past videos of his. He's now the presumptive nominee, much further right than Congressman Gonzales. He's endorsed by the Freedom Fund, which is the House Freedom Caucus. It's the most conservative group in Congress. Their political arm has endorsed Herrera, and he'll be facing a Democrat named Katie Padilla-Stout. She's a former teacher from the San Antonio area. This is a district that favored Trump. Trump won it by about 15 points in 2024, but it also is majority Latino. So it's a seat that I think Democrats are hoping can swing back to them, and that I think they're certainly enthused about. We'll see if they, want to spend real money there. But that's sort of the state of play right now.
Yeah, so many twists and turns this week, so we appreciate you catching us up on all of that. You can read more of Gabby Birnbaum's reporting on the Texas Tribune's website, so I'll send you that way. But Gabby, thanks again for joining us and hope you enjoy your weekend.
Thanks so much. You as well.